Yes, today we will learn the next states of matter, solutions. Solutions means it's the homogeneous mixture of two or more components. In this, the component which is in the small proportion is called solute and which is in the larger proportion is called solvent, and that makes solution. Solute which is present in the small amount and in larger proportion, that is called solvent. When sugar is added in the water, so sugar or salt, that is solute, and water is in the larger amount, so that is become what? Solvent, and this makes what? Solution. It is not necessary to have only two components. There might be more than one component. Might be there are two or more solute or solvent. We can mix n number of substance and to make the solvent. But if only one solute and one solvent is there, we call it binary solution. Suppose salt is added in the water or sugar is added in water. So only two components are there. We call it what? Binary solution. In this chapter, we are going to study only about the binary solutions. Solutions, as we said, that they are homogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous mixtures of two or more components. Homogeneous means they have uniform composition. Throughout the bulk, their composition is constant. Right? Every sample is having same properties. We call it homogeneous mixture of two or more components. Now solutions are of different types based on their solvent. It might be gaseous solvents, liquid solvents, or solid solvents. So if the solvent is gas, then it is called gaseous solutions. If the solvent is liquid, then it is called liquid solvent solutions, and if it is solid, then solid solutions. So we take the example of solute and solvent. Suppose if the solvent is gas, so here we will write solute and solvent name, and that makes the solution. Suppose first we are doing gaseous solutions. Gaseous solutions, obviously they have solvent gas, right? So if solute is gas and solvent is gas, then it makes a gaseous solutions. Solvent is that we have to consider that what is the solvent, that becomes the solutions. So it might be gas in gas, might be liquid in gas, or solid in gas. Take an example. Suppose oxygen is mixed with the hydrogen or nitrogen, so it's a gaseous solutions. Suppose water droplets are suspended in the air, that is a gas solution, but liquid in gas. Or third is when solid is suspended in the gas. Suppose unburned carbon particles, smoke, they are suspended in the air. Or you can take whereby solid is suspended in the gas is the camphor in nitrogen gas. You have nitrogen gas and in this camphor is there, so that also become the solid in gas example. Second, we take the liquid solutions. Liquid solution means here the solvent is liquid. Suppose you take solid in liquid, you put the salt in water, sugar in water, then liquid in liquid, you put alcohol in water, liquid solutions, and third, gas in liquid. Suppose you take aerated drinks, soda, carbon dioxide is dissolved in that. So that is the example of gas in liquid. Third type is the solid solutions. In solid solutions, the solvent is solid itself. Right? Suppose solid in solid. You know that alloys are made. So here what happens? Two solids are mixed together. Copper dissolved in gold, right? Or liquid in solid. You can say amalgam, one of the alloys of mercury. Liquid in solid, you can say amalgam. And third is gas in solid. Suppose some metals like nickel, palladium, transition metals normally they act as a catalyst and they absorb the gases on their surface. Adsorption takes place. So that is the example of gas in solid. Hydrogen is absorbed on the palladium or nickel. So these we call type of solution based on their physical state. Solute and solvent, gaseous solutions, liquid solutions and solid solutions. Now we will learn the concentration units. The solutions are expressed in different units. They can be expressed in mass to mass, mass to volume, volume to volume, molarity, molality, mole fractions, parts per millions. So they can be expressed in various ways. So that we are going to learn. So first we call it weight by weight percentage. Weight by weight percentage means here weight of solute upon weight of solution, and if it is percentage multiplied by 100 means this is here the given weight, that is the weight of solute divided by weight of solute plus solvent. We have written here solutions into 100. So in this way we get the weight by weight percentage, right? Second can be weight by volume percentage. So in weight by volume percentage we divide the weight of solute and instead of taking weight of solutions we consider volume of solution into 100. Here weight by volume percentage, and if it is volume by volume percentage, then we take the volume of solute, one component, volume of solute upon volume of solution into 100. These are the general concentration units. After that, you see if when the concentrations solute are present in a very small amount, in very trace amount, in that case it is convenient to express them in the ppm. We call it parts per millions. Normally some of the impurities are in very small amount, but some of the metals are required in the ultra pure condition. Ultra pure condition means even the impurity must not be in the ppm level. So in that we call it parts per million. So in parts per million we take the number of parts of the components, number of parts of component upon total number of that we can say parts of all the component in the solution. in the solution, and as it is in the million, so it is 10 to 10 raised to the power 6. Remember, it is 1 part in 1 million, that is called 1 ppm. So number of parts of that component upon total number of all the component in the solution into 10 to the power 6 become ppm, right? Then fifth unit is the mole fraction. Like this is the fraction of the moles of the component. So we will write number of moles of the component upon total number of components, total number of moles of all the components, that gives the ratio or fraction. We can write it like we are finding the mole fraction of A. Here moles of A, and suppose two components are there, so moles of A and moles of B. Suppose we need to find the mole fraction of B, that will become XB. That is simply you can find it by moles of B upon moles of A plus B. So it become XB, right? So this is called mole fraction, right? Next unit is molarity, which is widely used. Molarity capital M. Molarity means number of moles of solute, number of moles of solute divided by volume of solution, and that should be in the liter. It should be expressed in liter. So if I write the moles equals to N and volume equals to V, then molarity becomes N by V, right? It should be in the liter. Now what is N? That is the weight of given substance divided by its molecular mass upon 1 by volume. It should be in the liter, become the molarity, right? Suppose 2 moles of solute are dissolved in 10 liter of water. So simply 2 moles of given and 10 liter is given. So 2 by 10, right? 0.2 become the molarity expressed in capital M. One more unit we use, that is called molality, and it is widely used, and it is more convenient to express the solutions in molality than molarity, because it is depending on the temperature. But here, we do not consider the volume. So what is molality? Molality means moles of solute upon mass of solvent, not solution, only solvent, and that should be expressed in kg. Then it becomes what? Molality. In molality, we take weight of solvent in the kilogram, right? So the unit becomes moles per kg. Moles kg inverse, and here we write moles per liter. Molarity is expressed in moles per liter and molality is expressed in moles per kg. And since I told you that here volume is not considered, so it do not depend on the temperature, so this molality is widely used and convenient to use because it do not depends on the temperature. So here we have done all the main units that we use to determine the concentration, right? Now based on this, we'll do the practice of some questions. Suppose it is given 5 gram of NaOH dissolved in 450 centimeter cube of volume or 450 ml of NaOH solution. So we need to find the molarity. Find the molarity of that solutions. So just now we studied that what is molarity? Moles of solute upon volume of solution. So what is solute here? NaOH, right? Right? So here first find the what moles of NaOH. You know, NaOH molecular mass is 23 plus 16 plus 1. It's to be 40, right? 40 gram per mole, right? So we can say molar mass is given and mass is given. So 5 divided by 40 is the moles. It is a given weight upon it is molar weight. Now divided by volume. Volume is given in the centimeter cube. Since we know 1 centimeter cube equals to 1 ml. That means we need to convert into liter. So ml is centimeter cube. So here we'll divide by 1000 and 1000. Right? So this will be the 50 divided by 4 into 45. 5 10 ja, 5 9 ja, 10 divided by, it is what? 10 divided by 36. It comes to be 0.278 m. So that becomes molarity. So in this way we can calculate the molarity. Solubility. Solubility means we can say solubility of a substance is its maximum amount that can be dissolved in a specific amount of a solvent at a specified temperature. So in given solvent, how much amount of solute can be added, can be dissolved at a given temperature, that amount we call it what? Solubility. Now this solubility depends on number of factors. It depends on temperature, depends on pressure, depends on nature of solute, nature of solvents, right? So this solubility varies, right? So first we will consider the solubility of a solid in liquid. How this solubility varies or depends when a solid is dissolved in liquid. Suppose we add the solute like sugar in water. So what are the factors on which it depends? Obvious, if this solute can interact with the particle of the solvent, then it gets dissolved, right? So it depends on the interaction between the solute and solvent. Keeping other factors in mind, temperature, pressure, nature of solute, right? So when a solid solute is added to the solvent, some solute dissolve and its concentration increases. Why? Because on adding, the solute get dissolved and concentration keep on increasing. Now some solute dissolve and its concentration increases. This process is known as dissolution. Concentration continuously increases, dissolution is taking place. and some solid particles in the solution collide with the solid particles and get separated out of the solution. Sometimes what happens when we dissolve, some particles collide with one another, each other, and they get separated out of the solutions. Means they come out as insoluble particles, and that process we call it what? Crystallization. So dissolution and crystallization, right? And then as a stage is reached where what happens when two processes occur at the same rate. Dissolution means dissolving, crystallization means coming out. So that process are just opposite. So under these conditions, number of solid particles going into solutions will be equal to the solid particles when equilibrium condition is there. So dissolution and crystallization going on in the opposite process. So at this stage, the concentration of solute in solution will remain the constant when the equilibrium is there. If any one of the processes, we can say, exceed, suppose crystallization is more, then all the solutes come out as a precipitate and one directional equilibrium goes. And if dissolution is more, then it will dissolve. So a stage is reached when no more solute can be added. In the solution, if we further add the solute, then it stops. We call it saturated solution. Once the solution becomes saturated, we cannot add more solute to it. If we keep on adding and still it can dissolve the solute, then the solution is called unsaturated. Right? So, this solution which is in dynamic equilibrium with dissolved and undissolved substance, and that is in the equilibrium condition. So the concentration of solute in a solution which is in equilibrium is called solubility. So solubility of a substance into another depends on the nature of the substance. Other factors are there, temperature, pressure, but that is depending basically on the nature. So in the 11th standard, you have studied in the equilibrium about the Chatelier principle, Le Chatelier principle, right? When any substance, any process are at equilibrium, so if we changing any factor, that factor, the effect of that factor will be minimized, right? So we will see the effect of temperature. In effect of temperature, here, the solubility of solid in a liquid is significantly affected by temperature. Why? Because on heating, what happens? The collision takes place, more amount of product is formed. So, obvious reaction rate increases. So, as the equilibrium is dynamic in nature, this follows the Chatelier principle. So, in this type of solutions, we need to see the type of reaction, whether it is exothermic or endothermic. If it is already exothermic, it is being evolved, then keeping the low temperature will favor the reaction, right? Or here, if nearly saturated solution, the dissolution process is endothermic, the solubility should increase. Suppose the process is endothermic, then by heating, solubility will increase. And if the process is exothermic, it is being evolved, then increasing the temperature will decrease the solubility, right? And second factor is effect of pressure. Normally, if the solute is in solid state, there is no effect of pressure, right? No significant effect. Only if it is a gaseous solute, then only pressure will affect the solubility.